Welcome. Welcome to the Well Balanced Kids Yoga video 30-minute class on shape. So if you've not done yoga before, it's always good to remember some basic ground rules. I have 3 golden rules in my yoga classes. And the first one is respect. And usually when we're in class, that means not talking over each other. But on a video, it just means respect your body and listen to it. Make sure that you don't do anything that will hurt yourself. Which brings me to our second golden rule, be kind. So be kind to yourself as well as others. So we're always told to smile at others, be nice to others, not be mean. But how about being nice to ourselves and listen to how we speak to ourselves, not tell ourselves that we're bad or stupid, that we can't do something or we did something wrong, but be kind to yourself. Tell yourself you'll do better next time. Tell yourself that you're just learning. Tell yourself that if it hurts, maybe you've gone too far in a yoga pose. So just listen to your body and go as far as your body wants to go today. And maybe today you can't go very far. Maybe you're all stiff and achy. And maybe tomorrow you'll be able to bend all the way. Do what suits you, because everybody is different and everybody is unique. And so don't compare yourself with how I'm doing the pose. And I'm sure that there's others that can do poses far better than me. But we are just where we are at. So remember to be kind and patient with yourself. And finally, the third golden rule that I always have in my classes is be positive. Don't say, oh, I can't do that. Oh, it just looks too difficult. Just give it a try. Even if you can only do the pose a little tiny bit, 5%, that's a start. I can't do all the poses 100% myself, but I just try. I try my best, and that's all we can ask for. So, do you remember the 3 golden rules? Respect, be kind to yourself, and be positive. So, today's session is going to be on shape, and we're going to make our bodies in all kinds of different shapes, some of which are behind me here. And maybe you can think of some shapes you'd like to do at home that aren't on my wall today. But first of all, we always start every yoga class with a warm-up. And that's to make sure that our bodies don't overstretch or hurt our muscles when we're going into a particular shape. And the warm-up we always do is called the sun salutation, because the sun comes out every day for us to warm us up, to bring life to our planet. Without the sun, we couldn't exist. So every time we do yoga, we say thank you to the sun. So I'm going to take you through our sun salutation. Some may know this already, and for others it may be new. So if you know it already, just take your time, do it slowly. The longer you hold your poses, the more stretch you'll get. And if you don't know it, listen carefully. We'll be doing it every session at the start, so you'll soon get used to it and soon learn to love it as much as I do, I hope. Okay, you ready? So, first of all, if you have a mat, go to the front of your mat. If you don't have a mat, imagine you have a mat, okay? Get your feet hip width apart, and you can tell whether they're hip width apart by putting your 2 fists together and just checking that they're hip width apart. And also check that your feet are like 2 parallel train lines. Don't know what parallel means? It means 2 lines that never ever meet. So if my feet were like this and I drew a line, the lines would cross. And if my feet were like this and I drew 2 lines, the lines would cross. So 2 straight feet. But if you drew 2 straight lines, they would never ever meet. Okay, so you have your feet hip width apart, two parallel lines. And bring your hands together in prayer position. Can you see? Like that. I'm going side on because in a minute I'll be bending down and I'll need to fit into the screen. So let's bring our arms up and reach as far as you can to the ceiling. Stretch high as you can, as if someone you love is holding your hands and pulling you up super tall. And then just drop your shoulders down, but keep your hands up. This way we're stretching out our spine nice and straight. And then place your hands just underneath your knees and really flatten this part of your back. So looking straight down with a nice flat back, as we call this pose. And then we put both hands down on the floor by our toes and stretch one leg as far back as we can. This is lunge pose, and in child's yoga we call it lizard. Always remember to have your knee right above your ankle and let those hips just sink down. So you're feeling a good long stretch all along the inner thigh. Then bring your feet back and make your body nice and straight so that your bum's not in the air or near the mat, but it's like your one long line. And this is called high plank. And we just hold it here for a couple of seconds. And as you get used to it, you can hold it longer. Then bring your knees down and come back, put your bottom on your feet, head onto the floor, but keep your hands nice and active, stretching out in front of you into clam pose, or also known as child pose. Then we draw a line with a nose on our mat and we come forward, letting our belly sink to the floor and look up, tucking our elbows in into Sphinx pose. And then we curl our toes under, push back with our bottoms high into the air, really pushing from away from our hands and just looking at where our belly buttons would be if they fell out of our tummies right now and landed on the mat. Into downward dog pose. You might be able to get your heels on the floor. You can walk out, you can do walk the dog by just tipping back and forth. Or you might not be able to get your heels on the floor. I can't quite get mine on the floor. That's okay. And then we bring the left foot forward to where our hands is, so that we do lizard on the other side, stretching out both legs. Then bring the other foot forward and go into flat back, looking straight down. Bring our arms up to extended mountain and then finish off in prayer. And we can just stand here for a minute or a second or so to let our heart, that's maybe beating a bit faster than normal, to slow down again. So there is our warm-up, our sun salutation. And we're going to do it 2 more times. And I'll go through it a little quicker. If you're struggling to keep up, just go at the speed that you can go. You can always pause the video. We'll be doing this lots. Every session will be starting with the sun salutation, so you'll soon get used to it. Okay, this time I'm going to just add in a little circle of the shoulders. We spend so much time looking at our phones and our computers and our tablets, but often we can end up a bit scrunched up like that. So by rolling our shoulders backwards and forwards can really help loosen up those tight shoulder and neck muscles. Okay, off we go. So, prayer position. Extended mountain. Reach, reach, reach. Let those shoulders drop. Flat back. Looking down at the floor. Left foot back into lizard. Remember your knee over your ankle. feel that stretch. Back into high plank and hold it here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Down onto your knees into high plank. Into clam rather. Really pushing away from your hands to get a nice active stretch. Then nose up the mat, belly on the floor, into Sphinx. Curl your toes under, push back into downward facing dog. Really push that bottom into the air, really push back from those hands. Then left foot forward to where your hands are, into lizard on the other side. And then bring the other foot forward, into flat back, and then up into extended mountain, and back to prayer. Are you getting the hang of it now? I hope so. So let's do it one final time before we go into doing our shape yoga. Off we go. Hands up tall into extended mountain. Flat back, looking straight down. One foot back into lizard. Back into high plank, both feet back. Down into extended clam, keeping the arms active. Nose along the mat to Sphinx, looking straight up. Curl your toes, push back into downward dog. Then left foot forward into lizard on the other side. Feet together into flat back. Arms up into extended mountain and down into prayer. Well done. Hopefully, just let your body settle. You can adjust any clothing if you wish now. Let your heartbeat go back to normal. All your muscles should have warmed up, ready for the shapes that we're about to create. So the first shape is one of my favourites. Not quite on this that I've got here though. It's star shape. So what we're going to do is make our bodies into a big star. So what I want you to do is put your legs out really wide and your arms out really wide, wide as you can. This is a great pose for if you're feeling a little bit invisible, like no one notices you. You can practice this pose every day for a couple of seconds and take up as much space as you can. Make yourself and say, I want to be seen. And you feel so big and like you're taking up the space you deserve to take up. Star shape. Okay, let's just relax those arms and legs after being held in position. And let's go to triangle pose. We have a triangle just here, don't we? So for triangle pose, we put one foot towards the end of the mat and the other foot facing sort of forward. It's not completely forward like that, just slightly on an angle. And if we wanted to check that our feet are in the right position, we just look whether our heel is coming to the center of our back foot. And then we bring up one arm and we take the other arm and we slide it down the leg. Now, how far you can go depends on how flexible you are. And it's absolutely fine if this is as far as you can go. You might be feeling it all along this leg here, and maybe all along the back here. You might be able to go right down, keeping nice and straight. But if that's too much, It's absolutely fine to stay here. The important thing is not to bend forward. You're trying to keep a nice flat body like so. And where's the triangle? Can you see it? It's in between my legs, isn't it? Oh, that was a nice stretch. So let's do the other side, because in yoga, we always do both sides, otherwise we're stretching, we'd be all lopsided from stretching one side and not the other. So let's move our feet around, forward and slightly at an angle. Then bring the other arm up and slide down. You might find it easier to have your legs a little bit further out. So just experiment with what works for you. And also, even if you can get right down to the bottom, if that's a really strong stretch, maybe today this is far enough. You don't have to push yourself to extremes. Remember our golden rule? Be kind to yourself. What do you need today to feel okay? Oh, and up we come. And you can just shake all that off, if you like. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be a square. So for square, we're going to do a lovely easy pose called tabletop pose. So remember, you're trying to create a square, so you want your knees directly underneath your hips and you want your wrists directly underneath your shoulders, so that when you look, I'm just going to move my top because it's hanging down so that you can see when you move into position, you are creating a square in between your body, your tummy, your legs, and the floor, and your hands. Can you see? And if you just keep looking down, your whole body's all naturally aligned. See whether you can create a square. Okay, and then we're going to do this lovely shape up here, a crescent. I love crescent moons. They always look so magical, don't you think? So for crescent, we're going to do a crescent lunge. So remember when we did the lunge in the sun salutation? So that was like this, wasn't it? With your knee over your ankle. This time, we're going to bring our hands up and then bend backwards, like so. Maybe you can get further back than me. It's quite a strong stretch. And let's do it on the other side. So get into your balancing lunge position, bring up your arms and stretch. So, and because we bent our back backwards, we need to bend it forwards. So we're going to do a pose, we're going to do downward dog. Now I don't know what shape it's going to make. Shall we have a look and see what shape we make with the space between our body and the mat? So let's push back up and have a look. It's kind of like a triangle, isn't it? And let's just come down from that. Because next we're going to do a rectangle. And with the rectangle, we're going to put our body into a pose called crab. So if you put your hands behind your back with the fingers facing towards your bottom, and you bring your feet in, facing out, so not too far out, otherwise you'll overbalance, like so. And as we lift ourselves up, need nice strong arms for this, it's really good for building the strength in your arms. As we lift ourselves up, we look backwards and up at the ceiling so that our body and our legs are all in one nice straight line. And when I do that, you should be able to see a rectangle being made by the shape of my body and the mat. You ready? count you down. 3, 2, 1, and go. So lift your body straight up and your head back. So my top's hanging down, so it's not quite a clear rectangle, but hopefully you can see that there's a rectangle beneath me. And we're holding it there for 3, 2, 1, and down. Well done, everybody. Those are some strong stretches that are going to really build up the strength in your arms and legs. So we're going to do, finally, we're going to go back and do that plank, because that makes a shape a bit like the scalene triangle. So let's go forward, hands underneath our shoulders. If this is too strong stretch, don't hold it for long, but see if you can hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. If you do that every day, you'll be able to hold it for longer and longer every day. It's a really good one for strengthening your body. And finally, we're going to end with an oval or an ellipse, which is, this one over here. And so we're going to make ourselves into clam, but not extended clam like we were doing in the warm-up, but just a normal clam or child pose, as it's also known. So we're sitting completely on our feet. Our feet aren't crossed, they're just flat out. We bring our head to the floor and our fingers to our feet. If you find it difficult to get to your head to the floor, just bring your arms underneath your head and rest your head on your arms. And we can just lie there for a few seconds, as it's a really good one for stretching us out and enabling us to relax after all those strong stretches. I like to imagine that I'm a little rock at the bottom of a pond getting washed over by water. And it's all the water soothing my back, giving me a little massage and relaxing me. And I'm just sinking further and further into the riverbed. And so we just have a second or two more here, and then very slowly, because your head has been underneath your heart, you curl back up like that. Did you enjoy our shapes yoga? Maybe you could think of some other shapes that you could make. What would you do, for instance, for a cross or a heart? That's something to think about. Do you want to try and do a pose now for one of those? I'd love to see them. I love in class when I ask the children to do poses that we haven't got yoga poses for, and they come up with so many creative things. Okay, so let's just do one little final stretch by sitting up, feet up, pointing to the ceiling, hands up tall, and stretch forward like so. And tickle your toes. If you can't reach your toes, just bend your knees. That's okay. Whatever's comfortable for you. Just remember, stay positive and be kind. Well, that was a good yoga session. Well, I hope you found it so. And let's now just do a little mindfulness activity. So mindfulness is a way to help us become more focused on the present and the here and now. Often we get worried and stressed when we're worrying about something that happened in the past, or we're worrying about something that may or may not happen in the future. And that can make us a bit stressed, a bit anxious, a bit upset. So the way to try and help us with those issues is to focus on the present and the here and now. So the way we can do that is by being mindful, that is taking notice of what's going on around us right now. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just close your eyes for a second and smell. What can you smell right now? Can you smell the smell of your clothes, perhaps? Or can you smell something that's in the room? Can you smell something you've eaten? Or something that's happening around you? And just open your eyes again. Just think, was it a smell that you liked? Focusing on our senses can really help us bring us back into the present when we're getting caught up in thoughts about the past or the future. So we're also going to do a little breathing exercise. And that breathing exercise today is square breathing. It's got to be square breathing because we're doing shapes today. So here we have right above me a square. And we're going to do a breathing exercise that reflects that. So for square breathing, get yourself comfortable in a comfortable position. And using your hand, you draw out a square. Okay. Well, I can't do it looking at the screen. I have to do it like that. Okay. And on the first line, we take a deep breath in. And then on the second line, we hold our breath. And the third line, we breathe out. And the line down, we hold. Okay, so let's give it a go. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. How are you doing? Is it easy? I'm glad you're finding it good. It's a really good one for just slowing down your breath and making you feel calmer. So let's do it a couple more times. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Last time. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Well done. So you've learned a breathing practice, square breathing. You've learned a mindfulness activity, closing your eyes and seeing what you can smell. And you've learned quite a few yoga poses today. Hope you've enjoyed them. So now we come to what some people think are the most difficult time of the class. It's when we let all our muscles that have been working so hard, stretching and holding us up in the rest of the yoga session, to relax and absorb everything they've learned. And this part of the session is called Savasana. And it's when we get to lie and relax and try our best to be completely still. And I know that a lot of you find that a really big challenge. So find yourself a mat or something comfortable to lie on and relax. And I suggest that you get yourself into a position that's comfortable for you. Usually in yoga, we like people to lie on their back with their hands facing, their palms facing upwards to the ceiling, and their feet just lying relaxed, not with no legs crossed or no lying on our hands and all curled up, because that's not really letting our body relax. But I suggest if you're new to yoga, you just lie in a position that you find relaxing. And over time, you may become more familiar with lying on your back and relaxing that way. It can be a great idea to close your eyes as well if you feel comfortable doing that, but only do what you feel comfortable with. So now I want you to get lovely and comfortable, lying down, and just relax so that you can really absorb what your body has learnt today. And we're just going to do a little exercise that helps us relax. I want you to imagine a beautiful butterfly, whatever colour you would like it to be. Imagine its wings fluttering above your body. And as it flutters, it lands on your head. just on your forehead. And as it, wherever it lands, you magically feel all relaxed. And so you feel your face and eyes relax, and your jaw relax, and your head grow heavy and sink into the floor. And then the butterfly lifts off again and flutters down onto your chest, and your chest eases off and relaxes, and your breathing becomes slower and heavier, and you feel your back really sinking into the floor. And then the butterfly comes up and flutters over your arms, each arm in turn, gently resting on one arm and then the other, so that your arms feel heavy and relaxed as they sink into the floor. And then the butterfly flutters and touches your tummy, a little bit prickly, but it has this amazing, relaxing feeling, where your belly just relaxes and it all sinks into the floor. And then the butterfly flutters and lands on your left leg, which becomes heavy and relaxed, and flutters down onto your right leg, which becomes heavy and relaxed. And finally, the butterfly flutters down to your feet, touching each foot in turn. First your left foot, which becomes all soft and floppy and relaxed, and then your right foot, soft and relaxed. And then the butterfly just flutters all over you as you feel your whole body completely relaxed, sinking into the floor as you enjoy watching the butterfly float above you against the nice blue sky. I hope you liked that relaxation. When you are ready, you can sit up. And when we come to the end of a yoga class, we always put our hands together in prayer position and say Namaste, which means thank you. Thank you for being with me here today and practicing yoga together. And thank me for sharing my knowledge with you. It's been a pleasure. And I always say at the end of every yoga class, the goodness in me sees the goodness in all of you. You can say that as well, if you like. Do you want to say it with me now? The goodness in me sees the goodness in all of you. I hope you've enjoyed this yoga class. I'll be doing more soon, so keep an eye out on the films and the videos that I'll be putting online. And I look forward to our next get together soon. Bye bye.